So I am very grateful to the organizers, especially Mr. Kuriakos and Johnson, for giving me this opportunity to spend some time with so many young people. So some of them are a little older than what I had expected, but then much younger than me, and Kuriakos also. I'm 77 now, so obviously many of you would be, I don't think anyone other than Kuriakos is there who is older than my children. So I don't have any fail-safe formula for success in life, because each individual's life is different. The environment, the family situation, and above all, each person's destiny is different. Nevertheless, there are certain things which all young people aspiring to do well in life would do well to remember. And I would like to discuss some of these with you today. Obviously, I cannot anticipate every situation that you will be going through. And also, there is a big difference in the generation. I remember when my late brother asked my father, our father, about some problem about his children's education. Our father told him that things are very different today. Things were different in your time. Things are much more different in your children's time. So the generation gap is a very significant one. And there are many things which we find very different from what things were when we were young. So that happens. To that extent, I cannot answer all questions. I'm only trying to tell you some of the basic things which will remain forever applicable. People often say that age brings maturity. I told you I'm 77 years old, and so I have a lot of maturity in that sense. But that doesn't mean that a person becomes more intelligent with age. It only means that we get to see a lot of things in life, to realize that everything that we thought were very important when we started off are not so important. Didn't really matter. That is maturity. When I was your age, or I'm talking to the students who are participating in this program. When I was your age, I was told that many things were important in life. And I thought, I had also decided on the course of life that I would take when I grow up. But none of these things really happened. Those things which I considered important, many of them didn't turn out to be that important. And certainly the course of life which I chose ultimately, or rather happened to me ultimately, turned out to be very different from what I thought I should be having. Nevertheless, it is important that some basic things which don't change are known to all of us. Unless one gets a lottery or gets some undeserved or unearned profit, nobody is going to be anything in life unless that person has a desire to do something in life, a desire to be something in life, a desire to achieve something in life, unless that person has, as the saying goes, fire in the belly. Must get out of this. You must achieve something. My father was a village priest. Of course, in those days, we thought he was a very important man. And we thought we were also very important in our village. But at that time, conversing with the Prime Minister or very senior officers and all were beyond our imagination, which became a day-to-day affair for me when I grew up, when I became a secretary, when I became a member of the Union Public Service Commission and all that. I remember some people had come to my father telling him that this property is available, that property is available, so you should acquire all that. My father said that he was not interested in properties. He thought it was a divine responsibility to bring up his children with the right values, which he did. And we are grateful for all those great values to our parents, of my father and my mother. So I was coming to the point that nobody can be anything in life unless that person himself or herself desires to achieve something in life. This is true of de-addiction. I know that of people who have been sent to de-addiction centers because they were, say, alcoholics or addicted to smoking. But the doctors told me that unless the person wants to get out, wants to change, you cannot buy magic wand or medicine change a person suddenly. The person is what he is unless he wants to change. Some of you would have inherited great wealth, and you may feel that it's enough to enjoy all the wealth that you have inherited and do nothing else in life. There is nothing that you need to do to achieve anything greater in life. Already you are somebody and you don't want to do anything more. History is replete with such characters. We read about great kings, great rulers, the battles they fought, the knowledge they acquired. But what happened to their sons? We don't study about them, at least not all of them. I remember being briefed before embarking on a tour of the United States in 1991 when the economic policies were reversed at the All India level. The guy who came to brief us told us, you can now draw up the list of the richest families in India, and after 5 years or 10 years, many of them will not be there. And true, and behold, I didn't have to wait for 10 years. Long before that, most of them, except a couple of them, are gone. I mean, they are not begging in their street, in the streets, but they are no longer the richest in India. A much bigger people, many people who have become richer than them. So, what happened? When I was in college, there were some very smart young men who dressed well, spoke well, ate in the best restaurants, saw the latest movies and whatnot. Their chamchas said that their hero had no need for a job, quite well off by themselves. They can do what they want, enjoy their lives, didn't have to worry about tomorrow. So these guys didn't do anything in life. Later on also I came to know in their entire life they did not do anything much. But they also did not find happiness or peace in their lives. When we were students, when we were working hard, they used to laugh at us. And they used to laugh, saying that we were taking life too seriously. But as I told you, when we grew up, when I checked up about those guys, they were nowhere. I don't think a rich man's son should be harboring the ambition to become richer. He may become richer, he may not become richer. He can be something in life. Everybody is not the richest in this world to be recognized as something great. You can achieve greatness in knowledge, achieve greatness in singing, you can achieve greatness in painting, you can achieve greatness in so many fields. Work hard to be something in life. And that is possible only if you have fire in the belly. Only if you want to do something greater in life. And the lesson which we have learned, or most of the new billionaires in the world have learned, is not to bequeath all their properties to their children so that they become useless. Most of the new billionaires bequeath a great deal of their properties for public good and only leave a small portion for the welfare of their own children. So fire in the belly is the most important thing I think the person should have. This next best important thing is that of building one's character as you're growing up. In the olden days when we were growing up, we were taught a small poem. Kagadrishti, Vegadhyanam, Alpaharam, Jeernavastram, Evam Vidyarthi Lakshanam. We know the crow in the morning looks around and sees what we don't see, sees what most of the other birds don't see. Even from a distance, they see what they want, the kind of food which they want. So Everyone should have that cross vision. From a distance, you should be able to see what you want in life. And second is about concentration. Most of us have seen the way in which the crane stands on one leg in the shallow waters, looking for the tastiest fish to surface. This is called Begadhyana. Begam, it means crane, hooker. So on one leg, it is concentrating all his attention to see when that tasty little fish surfaces. So it's meditating all the time, concentrating. And when it comes, suddenly you hear the sound of a crane swooshing down, picking up the fish it was looking for all this time and flying away. That is Begadhyana. Many of you would have heard the story of the test of arms training which Pandavas and Kauravas had. When Dronacharya called Dharmaputra, what all you see, what are you looking at? Oh, you see, I see all the great people, you, uncle, so many people. And Dronacharya said, go back. Similar with the Duryodhana. And finally, when Arjun was called, he said, he sees a bird. Then Dronacharya said, look again. Are you seeing a bird? No, I'm not seeing the bird. I'm only seeing the neck. That's a concentration. Just see what you need to achieve, what you need to know, what you need to understand. That is concentration. And it doesn't come without an effort. It comes through character building. And the third quality, alpaharam, doesn't mean that you don't eat well or you starve. You enjoy good food. By all means, do all that. But there is a difference between living for food and eating food for living. Living for eating and eating for living. There's a difference. You should be living for, you should eat so that you survive. Of course, you enjoy. But as a child, as a young man, doesn't matter whether you're eating at the best restaurant, the tastiest food or not. Of course, I'm not talking about the persons who are destined to become foodies in life and write about the best food available in the best restaurant in the city. Those are exceptional people, but an average student should not waste his time on food. And Jeeravastram, tattered clothes. Doesn't mean that you should go around in tattered clothes. Doesn't mean that you don't have proper clothes at all. I remember my father saying that you dress up cleanly, wash your face properly, and do all that for others. It's a service to others. But they have to look at your face, your figure. They should not feel this guy is not properly dressed, this guy is not washed his face, he is too slovenly to look at. That is fine. But beyond that, if you want to become most fashionably dressed, then you are doing it for yourself, not for others. You think by being very fashionable, you can attract attention of others to you. That is not what a student should be worried about. When I was a child, there were others in my villages who wore most fashionable clothes. Later in life, whenever I went to my village, I asked about some of those guys. Most of them were gone. Most of them were not known. And those who were known also did not have any peace in life, happiness in life. They did not achieve anything in life. They all had very fashionable clothes when they were growing up. So, fashionable clothes, great food, these are all very temporary things. You should be able to afford to buy what clothes you want, what food you want when you grow up. That comes at a price. That comes only if you sacrifice these opportunities when you are young. When you are young, that should not be your focus. Neither food nor clothes should be your focus. Nor enjoying life should be your focus. Working hard should be your focus. Normally, nothing stands in the way of someone who genuinely wants to achieve this. Someone who genuinely wants to achieve something in life and build up his character. All that is required is strong willpower. I remember coming across a young man when I was in the Union Public Service Commission, chairing an interview board. This young man spoke beautiful English, was very knowledgeable. And I looked at his biodata and realized that he had come from a place that was remote, you could say back of the beyond. And a lot of people from Bihar come to Delhi and they qualify in the All India services. So I thought this boy must have studied in Delhi. I looked up again and saw that he had no course in Bhagalpur. He had not even come to the state capital of Patna. And how did he learn all this? Where did he learn all this? So I asked him, how did you learn to speak English? And he said that when he first came to the university, he realized that he could not speak one word of English. He didn't know anything at all. So he decided that he should study English literature. So he changed his course to English literature. And he worked hard. He listened to the BBC. He listened to good speeches. He read well. So he acquired knowledge. Could speak good English. Could even write little poems in English. So nothing stands in the way. That year he qualified for the police service. He persisted. It so happened that next year again he came before me for the interview. And I was quite happy to see that he finally qualified for being included, for being appointed to the IAS. Can you imagine how a person coming from the remotest village achieve this? Even in Kerala, there are at least some people who have come up from extreme poverty, from families where bread earners were, servants, ayahs, drivers. But they had the fire in the belly to achieve something in lives and became qualified. So that is very important. Now, there are a couple of things more. I'll take just a few minutes more. One is that for the students who are going into the universities, I hope more people would have joined by now.
A-level students?
Pardon?
A-level, advanced level students?
Yeah, anyway, it's okay. Students should do what they like best in their lives. Quite often, in the olden days when we were young, our parents knew only about doctors and engineers. So they said that you have a choice between becoming a doctor and an engineer. That was the best that a best student coming from a village could aspire for. But today that is not the case. Today you can achieve anything in any field. In any case, you won't be starving when you grow up. Different people achieve different levels, even when they start at the same level at the same time. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that you should do what gives you greatest satisfaction. You should do only what you enjoy doing, not what your parents think you should be doing, or what your neighbors, teachers, or others say that you should be doing to bring great name to the family, to the village, to the town, to the school. No, you should do what is best in your interest. You should do what you enjoy best. Now, you are quite young when you choose to be an engineer or a doctor. There are so many factors which come into play while you make the choice. Therefore, you may be actually wanting to become an engineer or a doctor and might have chosen that field when you were, say, 18 years old, 17 years old. But you are too young at that time to know what your real calling is. You realize that you made a mistake only when you go into that. So my advice there is that don't feel that you are trapped for life in a particular field. If you don't think you are suitable for that, get out of it. Go for something which is very good for your own satisfaction, something in which your genuine interest is. I remember the first time I came across a person who left his field was when I was a deputy secretary in 1977 in the Ministry of Commerce. The guy who was economic advisor in the ministry was Dr. Vijay Kelkar, who later on became advisor to the finance minister and chairman of the finance commission and all that. Very well-known economist. But he had studied engineering. So he told me his life story. He was doing engineering, higher studies in engineering in the University of California, Berkeley. And many of the others who were his friends, who had studied with him in the school, used to come to him, ask him their doubts about something or the other, statistics or econometrics or whatever. Gradually, he developed a taste and interest in economics. And he decided to switch. That was possible there. I know many people who have changed their field of activity later. Engineers who became doctors later, doctors who became engineers later, engineers who became economists, economists who became something else. The most important thing is that you should not feel trapped. Of course, the Indian system, which is the same that we inherited from the British, doesn't permit lateral shift and without losing a year or so. I would think that even then you should shift. Of course, in the American system, you can shift from one field to the other without losing all the credits that you have earned while studying something. That is very good. But even if it is not there, even if you are having the Indian or British system, you should rather get out if you think that you are not suitable for that particular field. That doesn't mean that you keep on changing all the time and ultimately end up doing nothing. You should have some reasonable stability in life and reasonable stability of your views or of your vision about yourself. But these basic things which I told you, you should always remember that you should only do what you enjoy best. You should only take up things for which you have a flair. I am once again, I don't know if Kuriakos may know it, talking about the last Indian who got a Nobel Prize in science, Ramakrishnan. At the time when he got the Nobel Prize, it came in the newspapers that he had written the entrance examination for IITs and entrance examination for medical college. He didn't qualify for any of those. Fortunately for him, his parents were teachers, college professors. So they said that now you focus on pure science. So he chose a subject which is a pure science. But as he went to USA later, went into research mode, he realized that there was another subject which he should have studied. He didn't study that only because he didn't like the teacher. The teacher always used to put him off, and he didn't want to go anywhere near that teacher in the higher studies. But that was where his real flair was. That was really his field. So he went and concentrated in that particular field and did well. He in fact got a Nobel Prize for his achievements in that particular field. So it's important that you should choose the right kind of field, the right area to focus on. And lastly, I would like to say that money means nothing. Don't chase money. Somebody may be richer than you ultimately in life, doesn't matter. There is no competition as to who is the richest. If the richest man has got some unfortunate things in his life, some unhappiness, doesn't matter. What matters is that you should be happy You should be doing what you like. You should be achieving something in life. It doesn't matter whether you are the richest or you have the most prestigious job in the country or not. It doesn't matter. Everybody can't be prime minister. Everybody can't be chief minister. But it happens. There are many people who might have thought they should become prime minister or chief minister, and they were qualified to achieve all that, but they didn't do. They didn't achieve that. What? So let me conclude by saying that you choose your life carefully. You choose your life well. You choose your life that you will enjoy. That you choose your life, the field which you should pursue, where you will be happy, where you will be happy with your achievements. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your enlightening message. Now I invite all the students to come up and ask any of their queries to the guest speaker. So is it okay if I start?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So first question, like how you said that most likely the children are the ones making their own decisions, but can we also say that the parents can also be considered an important role in choosing a child's career? Like, can parents also have an important impact?
Yes, certainly. I didn't say that parents have no role, but I mean to say that parents should not be allowed to dictate or decide the final decision. Quite often, the parents have some experience of life, and they have observed you, and therefore they might have really chosen the right kind of things for which you should be going. So to that extent, it is fine, but they should not dictate their terms or choose for you. That is all what I said.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. And my second query is you have mentioned about concentration in how we must concentrate in the particular career we are doing. So can you give us some tips on how to concentrate? Like, suppose if you are living in a noisy environment also, but like a few tips on how to concentrate more on a particular subject.
I don't have any tips to give in this because concentration is something which you develop because you want to develop. Each person has a different situation and a different way of doing things. But concentration is something which means that you should focus only on what you are at the moment doing. I mean, in fact, there are, meditations, several types of meditations. And one of my relatives, who is very interested in meditation, asked another person who is a Buddhist monk whom he came across in life, what is the best way to meditate? Is there any secret? He said, there's no secret. Do whatever you are doing with full attention to it. When you are eating, think of your eating, what you are eating, whether that is going into your stomach or not. When you are praying, do that. When you are going into the bathroom, do that. When you are studying, focus on your studies. That is a Buddhist way of meditation, being in the present. You see, quite often people say that this fellow is so great, that fellow is so great that he could do so many things at the same time. But I tell you, when you do multitasking, it's only valuable up to a point. Beyond a point, you are not able to focus your attention when you are doing the multitasking. You are able to focus all your attention when you are looking at only that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. That's all.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
My name is Esther. My question is, what advice would you give a person who wants to achieve something?
What advice?
What advice would you give a person who wants to achieve something in life?
First of all, well, I don't have any advice to give because that is something which that is an inborn thing or something which you develop yourself. If you think that you have been given some talents in life, everybody has some talent or the other. Nobody is without talents. It is important to recognize the talent and important to know that you should achieve something. I gave many examples when I was talking about people who were satisfied with their circumstances, who were well off, who had enough money to play with, who had the best of education and best of food and best of clothes, but didn't have that fire in the belly. Whereas there were others who had a fire in the belly. Even among the people who were coming from very, very rich background, there were some people who thought that they should do something else in life than just inheriting what the parents have earned or grandparents have earned. So that is the fire in the belly is not something which anybody can develop in another person. It is something which you have to develop yourself. It's more like you wanting to de-addict or you are wanting to be something in life. It's something which has to be decided by you. If you are happy with the way you are, then of course nothing can be done. I'm not saying that you should be unhappy with what you have, but you should always have ambition to do something better. To at least to Esther, I don't know how religious you are, but your name sounds very religious. So I can tell you that God has given a lot of talents to you, and you should be able to make full use of these talents. You can bury them in the soil under the earth, thinking that the guy who gave you this talent will ask you, what did you do with that? So you should be able to hand over that. But you can also give it on interest. You can also invest it somewhere and earn something more. So it's up to you. Whether you want to just stay where you are or you want to do something more in life. It depends upon the fire in the belly, as I said, and no one can say this, but you should do this or do that. Each person has to decide things. Just as I said, there are only certain basic principles which one can talk about. Otherwise, beyond that, each person is living his own or her own life, and things are quite different.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Sir, my name is Angela, and I have a question. What is the educational qualification needed to appear in a civil service exam?
Oh, the educational qualification is very minimal. It only requires you to be a graduate. So, and of
Okay,
course, you should be within the age limits, depending upon whether you are a general category candidate or reserve candidate, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC, etc. So, subject to that, there's no other qualification. But it's not everybody who qualifies. It's somebody who works hard, who does well in life, who studies well. Only such a person can qualify.
Okay, sir. I have another question. What are the struggles you faced in your job?
Well, you ask any old man, old woman, what struggles he had to face in life. Everybody has some story to tell. If one chooses to tell the story, there is no life without struggle. In fact, I should have told you this before, that the most important lesson that you should learn is to fail. Everybody cannot always be successful. Everybody cannot be on top of the world in whatever examination you take. Everyone cannot get a top rank. In life, throughout, there are many situations where you are bound to fail. I remember a lot of students in the IIT were committing suicide. When I had some IIT professors coming in as expert members of the interview board, so I asked them, what happened? Why are they committing suicide? So he said that most of these guys who are committing suicide were people who did nothing but study. They lost the valuable growing up years when they should have also learned the interpersonal relationship, the skills to develop interpersonal relationship. They were only concentrating all their attention on studies. So the moment they faced some difficulty, they didn't know what to do. So the only thing which they knew was to end that life. So they committed suicide. That is not what one should be aspiring for. Yes, so you cannot always be successful. You may fail. So I also had my struggles. Everybody has had struggles. How you get out of your struggle is not a common kind of a solution for every situation. Each person, each situation, each struggle is different.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, Angela.
Sir,
Yes.
my name is Samuel and I would like to ask you, how would
Yes.
you handle conflict and difficult situations?
How will you handle?
Conflict and difficult situations.
Well, it is probably easy to advise you at this stage in life and at this age in my life. But what I would say is that one should stand by one's principles, what one believes in. In spite of all that, you might make mistakes, you might get into trouble. There is no guarantee that I can offer that if you stick to your principles, you will not get into trouble. Or that if you stick to your principles, you will not get into trouble. I mean, it can happen that way, but all I advise you to follow in life is stick to your principles. I remember somebody telling me when I was in service that even if you take very quick decisions, you make some mistakes. Even if you take a decision after a great deal of deliberation, you may still make mistakes. So why not try to do the first thing, that is, take a quick decision. So similarly, whether you stand for principles or you don't stand for principles, you may get into trouble. But standing for principle and still getting into trouble will at least give you some satisfaction that you didn't flinch, even under great pressure and great threats. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I think it's 5:30 and my time is out. But as I just want to tell you after listening to the various questions, that each person's destiny is different. Each person's fate or luck is different. As a believer, I think God has different plans for different people. So we may fail in some, succeed in some, doesn't matter. So long as we stick to the principles, we know what we are doing is right. That's what matters. Thank you.